Today's topic is formaldehyde, and this is one that I get a lot of questions around, especially around the accuracy of formaldehyde sensors. So, let me just tell you a short story from around a decade ago. So I was just getting started in the field of IAQ, and one of the first projects that I ever worked on was helping a school that was dealing with a lot of issues around VOCs and particularly formaldehyde. So formaldehyde is a carcinogen. It has really severe health impacts, and unfortunately it is found in a lot of the construction materials that we use in the built environment. And so I spent an entire day walking around this school with a portable third-party formaldehyde sensor and taking readings, trying to understand patterns throughout the building, and went home, put the formaldehyde sensor on the table in my house, cracked open a beer, and started to have a drink. 15 minutes later, I look over, glance at the formaldehyde readings, and they've gone through the roof. So crazy high. And of course I freak out, right? Why is my home experiencing these high formaldehyde readings? So I start taking this monitor, walking around the home, trying to identify where this is coming from, and kind of narrow it down to my beer. So, being a bit of a nerd, I started Googling formaldehyde in alcohol, and I also went out and bought like 15 different beers and said, okay, well, if there's formaldehyde in beer, I should understand which ones have the lowest formaldehyde, because that's probably what I'm going to drink in the future. Or hopefully no formaldehyde. And so I went through all these, and long story short, this was a total wild goose chase. The issue was not formaldehyde in beer, it was that the monitor had serious issues with cross-sensitivity. And this is, unfortunately, extremely common in the industry today. So, the formaldehyde sensor was not picking up formaldehyde being given off by the beer, it was simply reacting to the ethanol and the alcohol in that beer, and just reacting to the wrong thing. And unfortunately, if you go on Amazon today and you buy a portable formaldehyde sensor, I guarantee you that if you open a beer, bottle of wine next to it, in well over 95% of cases, those readings will go crazy high. And that's because there are some fundamental challenges with this sensing technology. So, that was a decade ago. Things have changed a lot. Sensors are much better. A lot of these issues around cross-sensitivity are starting to disappear with certain manufacturers, certain sensors, and certain brands. But again, the vast majority of sensors on the market are unable to deal with these issues of cross-sensitivity. And this is really important in a building, because the last thing that you want to do is suddenly experience a spike and extremely dangerous levels of formaldehyde, which again is a carcinogen, and then based on that do something like evacuate the building. And then at the end of the day, you're trying to work out what the problem was, and you realize that it's just, Joe on the 5th floor who was thirsty and decided to have a beer. Right. And so it's really important to have reliable readings so that you can make the right decisions when it comes to operating your building, especially with something like formaldehyde. Again, times are changing, sensors are improving, so I would just say the stage that we're at right now is buyer beware. Do your research, get a sample of the sensor, and open a glass of wine or have a beer next to it and see what happens. If the readings don't change, that's a good sign. Of course, whether or not it actually measures formaldehyde is another question. So this is something where I think we're still in the relatively early stages of the technology. It's something to be careful about, but it is changing rapidly, and I do have hopes for the future that we will be able to add this into monitors and provide building managers and workplace leaders with another valuable data point once it's accurate.